Welcome everyone to Black Girl Joy. Thanks for joining us. Before I get started, please like, share, subscribe, follow, do all the things in all the places. We're going to have a super fun conversation tonight. And it's fun because it is one of the things I am most looking forward to in life, and it is becoming an empty nester. So I would like to welcome our guest, Miss Cassandra Sampson, and she's going to be talking about her experience. So let's bring her in.
Hello.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. As you said, I'm Cassandra Sampson. My husband and I have been married for 31 years, and we have two children, ages 24 and 27. Our daughter will be 28. Our oldest will be 28. And September 23rd. Our youngest just turned 24 in July, and we are empty nesters.
Oh my gosh, they're so old. So, in case you didn't know, Cassandra, who I will try very hard not to call by her nickname.
You know what? I'm okay with it, but I know this is your professional program, so we'll go with our government names for now.
We'll go with government names. Is my oldest sister. And so it's kind of funny because when I was born, she was much older than me. Graduating high school almost graduating high school.
I was 17 when you were born.
Yeah, so her journey of helping raise kids started with me. When we would come visit for weeks at a time. And so that's just a funny tidbit about us. But okay, so here's the deal. My child is, I keep calling him the wrong age. My child is 15. And I literally call him 16. I've been calling him 16 for the last year because I want to get closer to 18. That's the goal. So when my child turned 9, I started telling him, okay, you got 9 more years. I started early saying you got to go. So, and a little history is that's partially because I became a mother at a very young age. So all the fun stuff people were doing in their 20s, I was not doing for the most part. So, so that's why I'm so interested and curious about being an empty nester. So there's a journey, I'm assuming. How did you feel about becoming an empty nester before your kids left?
I think, it was something that, I always knew was going to come. And I always told, I didn't preach it, But, after graduation from high school, you were expected to do something. You had to go to somebody's school. Or, you were going to have to figure something out besides just, lay on my couch all day. But it never was a thing about, oh, let me just push them out. I can't wait to get rid of them. I'm going to have fun. Now, I would make jokes to them, I would tell them that I'm going to turn your room into a gym, But I don't think I took it that seriously. It just be getting a reaction out of them. But it wasn't like, oh, I can't wait for you to leave.
Oh, no, I'm so serious. I'm very serious. I love my child. I do. But I'm very serious about it. Been thinking about it for a long time. So when you thought about becoming an empty nester, did you have any emotion attached to it? Like, were you excited? Were you nervous?
No, I just saw it as the next leg of the journey.
Okay.
But I did have what I would call moments of awareness. Like when my daughter went to do her internship at Disney, she was 19 years old. And of course, our mama was like, you can't let her go down there. She's too young. And I was like, live your life. This is a chance of a lifetime. And so, of course, we had her stuff in our car, and she's following us in her car. And I had this moment, and we're driving this SUV with 3 seats because, we were a traveling family.
Yeah.
And I looked in the back seat, and there was nobody there. And it was just my husband and I in the car. And I was like, we're here by ourselves. And that's when the realization started kicking in.
Mm-hmm.
And, we were really and truly going to be empty nested soon. I think our son was like maybe the 10th grade then, So it was like, oh, this is a real thing, because you're so busy in the grind for me. I was so busy in the grind of raising children, having a career, running kids here, there, and young. I had two, so I had to get one to ballet, one to basketball, this, that, and other. So it was so full.
Yeah.
That I didn't really have time to just sit there and think about it. It kind of snuck up on me, actually.
Really? Oh my gosh, I don't understand. I don't understand. So when you dropped off Jay, you dropped off Jay, you left with Thomas, and so now you just left with one child. So it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different dynamic, and I think it's interesting because a lot of times that older child can start to help with the younger child, right? Like, oh, you need to go pick them up or stuff like that. So it's almost like when they go, it's like, oh man, I kind of lost a little bit of my help. So now you have Thomas, and then you're getting closer. You're getting closer to graduation. How are you processing it all?
It was like just a different shift for me. I was glad that Thomas had that time alone. Because for basically the majority of his high school years, he was the only child. And that was the only time that he had a chance to be an only child. So it was more or less giving him the attention and the support that was just really totally focused on him. So it still wasn't like clicking about being totally alone yet. It was just, this is just, okay, we got to get Thomas through high school. But I will say this. I think my husband was looking forward to it more than I was. And he would always say, now this is funny. He would always say, when the kids leave, we're going to get us a new computer. We're going to get a Mac computer because your kids tear up stuff. Your kids just tear up stuff.
Your kids do tear up stuff.
And so we dropped Thomas off at college. And I promise you, we dropped him off. Seemed like it was a Wednesday or Sunday through the week. By that weekend, there was a Mac computer on the doorstep.
I'm with him. I'm with him. That's what it's supposed to be about. That's what it's supposed to be about. And it's funny because Thomas is in the corner, right? I'm pointing, if you look on my screen, it's like right there.
Yeah.
Behind you. Yeah. It's a little bitty baby. But that's he said, that's what I'm talking about though. Like there's a sense of freedom. And for me, it started when Jalen became the age he could stay home by himself, right? That was a whole new sense of freedom. Like I can go to brunch and not drag him along, and he could just stay. I feel like that was a phase just for me and him. Like he's happy, I'm not bothering him. He not bothering me. It's a totally different world. But I'm like, that day you get out.
And they don't want to go to Walmart with you, That was a moment too when I was like, okay, y'all, I'm getting ready to go to Walmart. They're like, oh, we'll stay here. I'm going to go to Walmart by myself now. Okay.
But that's so. But I will say this about that with the shopping, of course, he doesn't want to go with me. He stays here, and it's great because I'm not dragging him. He's not bugging me. But I spend more money because if I go and say I'm only gonna be here for a second, he was bugging me so much. Like you said you weren't gonna, you said you was just buying this. You said you was he would keep me in line. Like he was my accountability partner in the store. Right. And then I lost that, and I'm like, man, these groceries are expensive.
They are. Inflation gate is real.
Yeah, I'm like, I need Jalen to force him back with me to keep me in line. So what happens when you actually have an empty nest? Like, did you ever gain a sense of excitement?
Yeah, it's a different dynamic. It's much calmer because you don't have two other people's energy. And then it kind of allowed us, my husband and I never disconnected, but we got a chance to kind of create our own dynamic in the house. So, like, he has his recliner, and I have my spot on the sofa. And Netflix does not owe us anything, and it's it just kind of seemed like the house just kind of calmed down because there wasn't, all this other energy and all these other demands and all these other needs. So things just was kind of mellow.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. It kind of reminds me of when all y'all left and it was just me and my mama and my daddy. When I got to be the only child, it was a lot calmer.
I imagine it was. There were 4 of us.
It was a lot of us in the house.
A lot.
So what surprised you the most about being an empty nester?
What surprised me the most? Probably that it was something I really liked.
Oh.
Yeah. Even though your children are, I know what I got a better answer for that. The sense of accomplishment. Because you managed to raise your children, and that was always my prayer. Okay, Lord, please let me live to get my children to adulthood. So for me, it's a sense of accomplishment because they managed to get to adulthood. I can brag that both of them are college graduates. They have their own houses, somewhere to stay. And they have jobs, they're employed. So I think the surprising thing really was that I felt this sense of accomplishment, even though, my house wasn't full of people anymore. Look at, what that brought about in these 2 productive people, that I can say, okay, I know how to raise some children.
There you go. Look, there you go. What about the challenges? Have you faced any challenges when it comes to like transitioning into like being an empty nester? Because I feel like one of the things that, like, for me, I'm fully in awareness of is, even though I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go out and have fun. I've told Jalen I'm gonna be on a plane, so he got to be at my house. One of the things I'm fully aware of is that, even based on my life, is like the financial and the needs of your children continue like after they are an adult. So I feel like some people may be surprised by, oh wait, I'm still helping, I'm still paying, like because it's almost like when you look at like pre-K, when you're in daycare and you think, when I stop daycare, I'm gonna have a lot of money. You go to daycare, you go into pre-K, you're like, why don't I have any more money than when I was paying that bill? So like financially, there's a transition that's, it's a different financial support, but it's still there. But did you find any that you had any challenges?
Well, I discovered that very same thing, and I'll never forget, there were the older ladies at work. And I was like, okay, when I get my daycare money back, I'm going to buy me a car. And then she said, no, you find that they need other things. And then my other older lady friend would say, okay, whereas it was a couple of $100 here, now it's $1,000 there. And so even though they even had an article on it about how parents still have to help their adult children.
Yeah.
And so you never really get that money back. The daycare money, you never really, I don't know what happens to it. I don't know. You never really get that back. And then it's our children are in a bind financially in this economy. I always told my kids that when their dad and I, when we graduated from college, if you got you a degree, got you a job, you were pretty much going to be able to be financially independent.
Yeah.
That's not the case for this generation.
No.
Okay, so I'm giving you some money to help you get your car fixed.
Yeah.
Oh, I need money for that. So, it's a couple of $100 here, a couple of $100 there. It might even be $1,000.
Yeah.
So you, at this point, I think it's because of the way the economy is. Our children won't ever be completely free of our help.
Yeah. And that's like, that was the point I was going to bring up, because there are so many people. I have friends who kids are still staying with them into adulthood. And I'm cringing at the thought of that for myself. But there,
You gotta
there's
come
still,
to recognize.
but I do recognize that because I'm part of that same. Me and Janisha. We probably in. Is she a millennial? She's like the
James
bottom end.
millennial.
Yeah, so I'm a millennial too. So I'm in that generation. I was thinking about that for this, how one of the last things that my mama helped me with was like the other week I went and got tires. And the man was like, "Oh, you haven't gotten tires since 20, I don't know, 18 or so. What is it? Yeah, 2018." And I remember I went and got tires. I went home. My mama was sick. And she was like, "Go on in there, write out that check for $600 for your tires." And I was like, "Thank you, Jesus." Right? Because it's just the economy, and I don't think a lot of people realize that with the student loan debt stuff, right? Now parents are having to take out student loans like for their kids, and with that, like the economy is so bad for the children in my generations that how do you ever get from under that, right? So kids are going to be in a lot longer, and realistically, it's not realistic for me to expect my child to be able to go stand on his own in this economy at the age of 18.
At this point, my kids are doing it, and true enough, I have to help them out every now and then, but they're doing it. But I always understood that it may come a time when they will have to come back home because of what the economy was looking like. And I realized that they didn't come out in the same situation that their dad and I did. And my daughter and I were having the same conversation last week. And she and her friend were talking about it. They made their salaries what they make now in the 90s.
Oh, they'd be rich.
I told her they would be balling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they would be balling if
if you move somewhere like this. I don't mean to sound bad, but if you move somewhere like Fitzgerald, you like it's kind of the same, right? But even their prices, even when you look in rural Georgia, I think they had an apartment that was like $800. I'm like, in Fitzgerald? Oh.
In Fitzgerald?
You know what I mean? No, like I love Fitzgerald, y'all. But I'm just saying, like the price of everything. When I graduated, a really nice brand new apartment in Fitzgerald was $400 a month.
Listen, my children are paying $1,400, and the daughter does have a roommate. They're paying $1,900, but they split it.
Oh, she lucky. But yeah, so it's totally different. So as I look forward to becoming an empty nester, it's almost like, well, you're gonna pay for something either way.
And just hope for the best, but be prepared. If your child has to come back home or doesn't leave, immediately, because it's hard out there.
No,
you don't want your child out there hungry and homeless.
Well, I told him to get a dorm room and a meal plan. So
now that's a perfect solution.
but okay, my friend Willie Perry, who was on here last week, something like that. His son stays home because the cost of a dorm room is so expensive, right? So even going to a dorm, because once you get a dorm, they automatically put you on a meal plan.
Yep.
So that raises the cost, and student loans and how they charge interest on them. I don't know which one is really better.
It's really a situation where you can't win. Now, my oldest child, she stayed home the first 2 years. And, I had learned from some other people that I have been around, let your child start off at a junior college. He's going to take the same classes, less money. The only thing that really matters is what your 4-year diploma says. Now, the baby, he went off immediately.
He don't appreciate you calling him baby on the thing.
Well, I'm sorry. He was the last one born. But he went off to school immediately. And this is the shame. And I talk about this all the time. My kids paid more for 1 year of school than I paid for 4.
Yeah.
And their degree says the same thing that mine does. Now, I think that's unfair.
It's crazy. It is crazy. So I'm going to do a shout out for student loan forgiveness, but say we need more. Appreciate it, but keep it coming, because when you look at how much it is, it's not just gone up to match inflation, right? It is just doubled and quadrupled, and it's out of control. And
Yeah.
I don't know what's gonna happen to our kids. They either gonna be in debt and have a good job, or they can still have a good job, but I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen
I
with
don't
that.
know how, my one of the things that um you know my son says is that mama, our generation not gonna be able to buy a house.
Mm-mm.
They're not gonna be able to do the things that we just were expected to do. Their reality is gonna be different.
No, very different. So I started looking for a house this summer, and I make a okay, I
Mhm.
ain't balling, but I make a okay salary. Like if I would have looked back 10 years and said I was making this salary, I'd be like, "Ooh, I can get any house I want." I went out there and I wish I would have took a picture to show y'all today. They had that house, $300,000. It was burned up it literally burned up. I'm not talking about, no, it was literally burned up in the inside. And they were like, house $300,000. The window is not in. It got boards up. And I'm like, what? No, never mind. I'll just stay where I am. I'll just stay where I am. I'm like, I'm okay. I just wanted an extra room. But, I'm like, it's okay. I'll just stay here. It's fine.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, it's a totally different world. So far as you, like, what have you been doing since your kids are left and you're in a special situations where you're empty nester and you went ahead and retired?
Praise the Lord. Amen.
Goals.
I will say one thing that changed in 2020, when COVID came.
Mm-hmm.
I actually started my business, and it's called I actually started an LLC, C Sampson Enterprises. So that includes my educational consulting. So I consider myself an educator of 32 years now, because
Awesome.
I'm still doing educational consulting.
Mm-hmm.
And I have Sandy's wreaths, and of course I make custom wreaths, and I can credit my child for um, getting that business started. It came, she wanted me to make something for her because she didn't want to pay how much it cost in the store. And so she said, "Mom, can you do this for me?" And I said, "Sure." So I posted it on internet, on Facebook, and someone said, "Well, do you sell these?" And I don't know what made me say yes. But I did. And so it has become a whole business for me for the last 2 years. And I've actually shipped as far away as Canada.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So
Yeah.
did this process, so you started these new businesses. What else have you learned? What have you learned about yourself since becoming an empty nester?
That we really don't want our nest to be completely empty. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. We have
Don't
a
say we.
But my husband and I,
I'm just kidding.
because he kind of tricked me into this. After you've been married so long, you get to a point where you pick and choose your battles,
Mm-hmm.
and then there are things that you want your spouse to have. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so my spouse wanted a dog.
That's against our beliefs.
Okay, and I did not want to deny him the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we didn't grow up with animals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so, of course, I'm going to tell you this story. So we have a 78-pound Labrador retriever that lives in our house now, a part of the family. Okay. And remind me to tell you about the upside of being an empty nester.
Okay.
So anyway, the dog is here, lives inside the house. Now she's 78 pounds. And so you were talking about healing on the episode before the last. I watch all of it. And so the dog is what brought me, I feel like, my final piece of healing. I'm 53, so I've been doing my work, as the younger would say, for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, my husband wanted the dog. So of course I'm getting anxious. It's a dog. I don't like animals. And then it dawned on me when my angst with animals started.
Oh, so when did it start?
I believe I was probably about 5, 6 years old. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when I was about 5, 6 years old, really, really, really young, I was at Auntie's house and this man came by giving away puppies. Okay, Auntie used to babysit us. So, of course, me being a little innocent child, I'm like, yes, I'll take a puppy. So I took the puppy. Okay. Well, of course, one of our parents was not going to allow a puppy to live at our house. So we had to get rid of the puppy, had to get rid of the dog. And I didn't realize how much that affected me. Really? And then so after that, it was like, oh, I can't like animals. I don't want to touch them. No. So my husband and I were out there doing our projects. That's an upside of being an empty nest. You do projects together. So we're out there building this dog house. And I'm feeling a little anxious because the dog is running around trying to love on me. And then I remember when the angst started after I was forced to give up this puppy. And then I said to myself, you don't have issues with animals. This other person has issues with animals. So why are you taking on somebody else's issues? You got enough of your own.
Wow.
So at that point, I was able to release all of that. And now I miss the dog. My daughter had to come get the dog because my husband's having surgery. So she's got a dog sit. And I miss the dog.
That's a long way, because I would be like, coming from my household,
But I had to let go that was not my issue. That was their issue. And really, truly, even when I was a little girl, 5 and 6, and had gotten this puppy, I liked animals then. But because of that trauma of having to give up the dog, I created this whole scenario in my head about I didn't like animals. When in case that wasn't true. And so I feel like the dog healed me, but we still got another person in our house.
The dog gave y'all another
person.
Something else to take care of. That's a good question I had. That brings up a topic for me, because one thing you think about with being a parent, I think we heard this. I don't know if we heard this while we were at the Oprah or what, but the transition from being a parent and telling you what to do to being like a consultant and advisor.
We are very much consultants now.
That is a transition. And I think it's more of a transition for the parents than it is for the kids, because we're so used to playing that role. And by the time they're teenagers, they don't want us to play that role no more, though sometimes they still need it. They like, leave me alone. Oh gosh, you should have heard my child yesterday. He was on fire, upset, mad, and was like, you doing something you don't got no business. This ain't none of your business, and you all in my business, and you just need to stay out of it and leave it alone. It don't concern you. And I'll let you guess what he's talking about. Just give any guess of what he could be talking about.
His clothes, something he needed to wear.
His hair. I had him get a haircut. I took him to get a haircut.
You know, he was never bothered about that. Those kinds of things.
School pictures of Friday. So I was like, you gonna get a haircut? He's like, my hair is none of your business, and you gonna be one of those parents in those books that's controlling their kids and making their kids uncomfortable. I was like,
oh my God, he went there for a haircut.
So I feel like as the teenagers, like, they don't even want us to be like parents anymore. They don't even really want the advisor, but they still need it. But I feel like for parents, it's kind of hard to transition, because we have so much knowledge, we have so much experience and knowledge and foresight that they don't see. That now, like as an adult, I can look back and see my mom's foresight and knowledge. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, I'm trying to prove it to you, but you don't believe me.
Right.
So how did that transition? And was it different for both of your kids, right? Because your kids are two totally different personalities.
They are. I think in all things there's balance. Now, my kids were always very independent. And I think that's because I raised them that way. So they kind of transitioned into adulthood, I think, fairly easily. And of course, it was different for both of them. But it because they were so independent always. And with the oldest one, my mother-in-law used to say she had old folks sense. She was always very mature. And so there were conversations that I may not have need to have with her. And then there was just I went into consulting mode with her a lot earlier. So I almost don't even remember, when that started. Because she would seek out advice when she needed. So that was really easy. The son, he's not even quite getting with the consulting either. But you just have to realize that, and it's one of my older lady friends saying, you can't save people from themselves. So there are times when it's okay, let me just speak my piece, because I know you're an adult and you're going to do what you want to do anyway, but let me just speak my piece. But then there are times when it's like, okay, mama, what about this right here? Okay, dad, what about this right here? And then we go through the whole thing of, pros and cons and, what could your possible decision be? I guess I had an easy time. Most people always tell me, saying you ain't had no problem with your children. And so, I am enjoying this phase, because when you're an empty nester, when you eat, your family's fed. I don't have anybody calling me. And I remember my son's voice was changing, and he would call me every day at the same time. Mom, what are we going to eat? And I'm like, who is this on my phone? but and then if I want to eat cereal, dinner, it's okay. I don't have to worry about anybody else. And then a part of the transition is you get your own groove going. Like when our kids come back home, they come and take over our spots. And, they leave the TV on all night. And, we turn the TV off and go to bed. They don't do that. They don't do that. But I don't complain, because I know that they're just visiting. Yeah. But what I was going to share about the upside of being an empty nester is, now that you have adult kids, your kids become a part of your village. Before, your village helped you raise your kids. Now your kids are your village. Like my daughter drove down here from Orlando so she can keep the dog. Took the dog back down there with her. We bought a car February, I think. And so they needed to do something to the car. It was in Atlanta. They needed to do something to the car. And I was like, look, I got to get back. I got to go to work. I'll come back up here Friday and pick up the car. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to drive up there and have to get 2 cars back. So our son came down, picked us up, drove us to Atlanta to pick up the car. We ate lunch.
You rode in the car with Thomas?
Yeah, I'm sitting in the back seat.
All
the way to Atlanta with Thomas. Yes. And I'm thinking, this is a blessing. That that our kids can help take care of us now. They can fill in the gap for us and help us, when we need it. So that's the upside of being an empty nester. You have adult kids that are part of your village now.
That's awesome. So look, I've gone over. I have kept you longer than what I said, but I want to know, what advice would you give to someone who is a recent empty nester? And then also I want to ask, what advice would you give to someone who is approaching empty nesthood?
Establish some healthy, I think, boundaries with your children. Yes, I'm going to always be the mom. Even though you're an adult and I'm your consultant now, I'm still your mama. So just make sure that there's a healthy balance there, of respect that goes both ways, because I can't mandate that they do anything, and they don't have to take my advice. So it's just a matter of, yes, I love you. I want the best for you, but I'm still, your mama. So you can be open, but not all the way.
So with those boundaries, is there a sense of also needing to relinquish control? Because I think that's going to be my problem.
Oh, yeah. You and you have to realize, even with life, you can't control anybody but you.
Yeah.
And there are certain part of your circumstances that you still can't control. So, faith and fear cannot coexist. So you just have to trust that you've taught them. And I remember Mama saying this: I was pregnant with Jay and didn't know it. And I was like, well, how do you raise children? She said, you just teach your values. I'm like, Mama, now, you got to come up with something better than this. Now, that's just way too simple, But as I got into it, I realized that was true. So if you just know, you just have to trust the foundation that you've given them. And if you know that you trust that foundation, then you can release them. And at this point, it's just a matter of advising and praying. I pray to keep them safe. I pray that they'll be whole. I pray, that they will just be able to be productive, happy, whole people.
Yeah.
And so that's continuous.
Yeah, that's what your mama told you, but your mama struggled with that control. My famous story is when I was...
The need to control comes from anxiety.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I always love the story of how I was probably 28, 29, and I had went to, I'm going to go to my Beyonce concert. And I think that year I went by myself. And so I do this thing is when I go to the concert, I don't rush out. First of all, I don't like crowds. So I just wait and let everybody empty out. Next thing I know, I get a text message from my mama. You home? No. Get your butt home. I'm like,
that's
I'm 29. I'm 29. I'm almost 30. Get your butt home right now. Shouldn't be out there in the streets. So it's like she had a very extended view of him.
I had my friend laughing the other day. I know we're going over. I had my friend laughing the other day. So we were talking about tattoo, and I told her, I don't know how we've been friends all this time, and she didn't know I had a tattoo. And so I was like, she said, Sarah, I was like, oh, I have one, don't you? She's like, what? And I showed it to her. I said, yeah, I remember. She said, what did I don't know how it came about, what did mama say? I said, she said, I ain't got time for you with this right here. You're going to have AIDS, and then I'm going to have to raise your children. She would go from 0 to 100.
So dramatic. Like, am I crazy or you? Like, what? I'm confused.
That's how she would carry
on. That is too.
Now, I'm grown, married, 2 kids. Oh, I'm going to tell you this. I know I got to let you go. You may not have heard this one. You were 4 years old. Okay? So, mind you, I'm married. Okay, I was pregnant with Jay and didn't know it. So we were talking about this big long red belt that mama used to whoop us with. You probably didn't get no whoopings.
No, I ain't get no
whoopings. Well, I got whoopings with the big long red leather belt. And so we were talking about the belt, and for some reason I started playing with you. I had you down on the floor. We were wrestling. Mama came out the kitchen. She said, you know that belt we were talking about? I looked up. I'm 26 years old now. I said, She said, it's still back there. I got up and sat on the sofa.
You said, never
and my husband was laughing.
Never mind.
Get a whooping at 26.
That girl
I was not going to try, Mama. She was I felt like she was just crazy enough that she might.
That was y'all mama. My mama wasn't like that. That was y'all mom. I got a different mama than
Yeah,
y'all.
you did. You got a
I
very
got
different
different,
mama.
like that's another thing, right? We go through different phases. I only have one child, so it'll only be one phase for me. But I feel like she definitely had different phases in her
You
life.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
You got the old mama. I had the
yeah,
young mama.
the old calmer, go to church every Sunday.
Yeah. See, I didn't have that mama.
Yeah, she was a lot. And then people would be like, because the one thing I like loved about Mama was like she wasn't that person who was. I won't say she wasn't very strict. She wasn't for me. She wasn't
For
very
you.
strict. Yeah,
I
for
got
me,
the
she
mama that
wasn't very
had
strict.
enough energy to be strict.
Yeah. I didn't get the strict mama, but we had such like a down to earth relationship, and people would be like, you talk to your mom like that?" I'm like, "Yeah," but it was me and her. Our relationship was always open to like I could tell her like, "Oh no, you wrong." Like
Now,
we just
we
had
were very much friends in adulthood.
yeah.
In adulthood, I mean, mama was more of a friend than a mama.
Mm-hmm.
But it was after, adulthood,
Yeah, no, like for me, I think um oh Lord, we're gonna start so while her mama is like commenting right below. But I do think like I just got a whole different version. And I think Jalen got the best version. I
Yeah.
really do think like she really like came out of her shell. I think she had more confidence. I think she was
Yeah.
much happier and calmer. And I think she enjoyed parenting Jalen more than she enjoyed parenting any of us. That's
Probably
why I was
so.
telling my friend the other week. I was like, "Yeah, my son called my mama mama," and I was like, "I love my mama too," so I didn't care. I was like, "She your mom too. She raising you. She potty trained you. She
Yeah.
your mama too."
Mhm.
But yeah, I think our kids do get different versions of us, and we shift and we change. And I think once we go through bringing it all the way back around full circle, once we get that empty nest, that's another phase. That's another change. I'm expecting, like, I don't know what's going to happen, right? I don't know what's going to happen when I become an empty nester. I want to be more adventurous. Like, I'm planning. I
But
want to
the grooves shift, but you have to also, for me, I haven't done as much traveling as I planned to because of COVID.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think kind of once we get regulated even into this COVID thing and how we live with it among us, that's going to affect a lot of people too.
Yeah, no, that is very true. I think COVID has like turned the world upside down. And lucky for you, you had retired and you didn't have kids to homeschool during that time. Uh-oh, you froze. Are you there? Uh-oh. All right. So, for everyone watching, we are going to be giving away one of Sandy's Reeves.
There we go.
Uh-oh. Oh yeah, we lost you for a second. So we're gonna be giving away one of Sandy's Reeves. If I say y'all, I'm country. How do you say it? Wreaths
Yeah, with an S.
with a TH. Wreaths. Okay, because I'm saying Reeves and Reefs, and I was
And
listening
us
to
people spell it that way too.
yeah. I was listening to a clip about Herschel Walker, and he was saying ride his bike, right? And the commentators are in California, and they're like, "Why is he talking about riding someone's bike?" And I'm like, "No, I speak rural Georgia, Black and Southern." He's saying back. You're riding someone's back. So I catch myself because I'm like, I know I ain't saying this right. So we're going to be giving away a reap. So anyone who has commented will be entered. If you would like to enter, you can comment and say hello. Even if you watch this tomorrow, what's the day? Wednesday. I will contact the winner probably this weekend. So even if you're watching it, if you watch it by, let me look at the date. by September 3rd and you comment, we will be giving away a lovely wreath. And I will show some of these to you again. I pull some up. Be sure to follow Cassandra at Sandy Reese on Facebook.com. So before I leave, oh, geez, I'm sorry. Just please share with us what in your empty nesthood has brought you the most joy?
Having been able to get to this point, just grateful that I am at this point in life. You know, my children are grown, they're almost self-sufficient. I managed to retire. I'm still married to the same person. You know, I'm just in a place of gratitude. And I think having an emptiness helps you to be grateful because you know you've got thus far on the road.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. That is awesome. So I truly, truly appreciate your time. You guys remember to like, share, subscribe, follow, all the things in all the places. I truly appreciate all of you. And if you like to be on, because I haven't built out my September calendar and it's the 31st, please, you can message me. And oh, look, you better enter me into that drawing. That's so funny. Okay. All right. Okay. We'll enter you. But yeah, so please like, share, subscribe. If you'd like to be on, just feel free to send me a message or put a comment and I will contact you. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Cassandra. And I didn't even call you by your nickname.
Okay. I enjoyed it. And you're doing a great job with your podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been great, guys. We will see you next month with something. I don't know what, but tune in to see. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.